welcome to Tome of Uselessness. I'm Devon.
I'm Dan.
And today, I guess we're doing a post-mortem on 2019's Cats, because there hasn't been enough said about this stupid movie yet.
Well, I mean, you when you pitched this idea, you were like, "Oh, I have some ideas where maybe they could have done some tweaks here and there, not too huge of changes to make the movie probably better." I would imagine.
Yeah, I think retrospectively, I think they are kind of bigger tweaks than I was originally pitching it as. But I do think that they've made a lot of mistakes with this movie.
I could say up front, I haven't seen this movie. I don't plan on seeing this movie. I watched the excellent Lindsay Ellis video about this movie, and I listened to an episode of How Did This Get Made that they did, which is a podcast about bad movies. And
Nice.
the one guy, Jason Mantzoukas, he was offended that they did this movie for the podcast. He was scandalized the whole time. He's like, "Why did we watch this? This was so terrible."
Oh,
It made me laugh a lot. So that's my experience with Cats from 2019.
So have you seen the Andrew Lloyd Webber musical, on a live stage or anything?
No.
Have you seen any clips of it?
Well, again, just the Lindsay Ellis breakdown talks a bit about it. So that's all my knowledge of Cats as well.
All right, so I'm gonna start with some basic backstory on Cats. This is my roadmap to this episode. We're
Sure.
gonna start with some backstory to get you grounded in reality.
Yeah.
Then I'd like to talk about some of the specific problems this adaptation had. And I'd also like to point out some of the things I liked about it, because I didn't fully hate this movie.
Okay.
And then I think I'll talk about some ways how an adaptation of Cats could possibly work in any universe, but it's still a very, very small chance that it would work. Because Cats, as you may or may not know, the original 1981 Cats, the Broadway production, which, by the way, ran 21 years on Broadway and is one of the longest running shows, if not the longest running, is based on T.S. Eliot's 1939 book of poetry called Old Possum's Book of Practical Cats, which was written as a joke for his friends.
Yeah. And if, correct me if I'm wrong, but it's not purposely, but it's nonsensical because it's whimsical.
Absolutely. It's just
Yeah.
this whimsical idea that these cats have these secret lives. The end. It's okay, here's the difference. To put it in nerd terms so that you understand, Dan. It's the difference between looking through character sheets and playing a campaign.
Sure.
These are just little snippets of cat personalities. That's all it is. And
Yeah.
that's what the musical is. There is almost no story. There's the Jellicle cats. Which is already confusing because all cats are Jellicle cats. I don't know. The Jellicles pick a special cat to become a Jellicle cat, even though all cats are Jellicle cats. It's already dumb.
Yeah. Well, I was kind of, it's they all have the potential to be Jellicle cats.
No, but they specifically say, I think, in one of the songs that all cats are Jellicle cats.
Yeah, I know. It's a typo.
It's a typo. Okay.
Yeah.
Anyways, the Jellicle cats are going to pick a cat to be a Jellicle cat. And so each cat auditions. I sound like I'm having a breakdown. Each cat auditions to be a Jellicle cat by singing about why they should be a Jellicle cat. That's the whole show.
Yeah.
As Lindsay Ellis points out in her Cats video, it's more like a musical review than a musical. It's the point of Cats is that it has good music and it showcases talented people doing complex choreography and interesting songs. it's not a story. It shouldn't be a movie.
Yeah.
I think one of the first things that, you have to address when talking about the 2019 Cats is that they tried to inject a story into it, but it's still the same songs. It's still the same basic premise. So it just seems like they wrote their essay on the way to school, on the school bus.
Yeah, because like the idea that it's like, okay, we're gonna do this movie about cats and how they have a secret life and they're gonna sing about themselves or whatever. Like that's fine as a structure, but then you have to write an actual story that works and not just crib note songs that don't belong in this kind of story. Like I saw Les Mis that this guy also did, Tom Hooper.
Yeah.
But like that has a beginning, middle, and an end.
Yeah,
And
because it's a story.
That's what I mean. And there's two story arcs essentially that you're following, and you're like, yeah. So that makes sense in a movie. But this, like you said, there's no story, so you have to write one. But then it's like, if you're writing a story, you have to rewrite everything else too.
Yeah, and I have issue with Tom Hooper.
Oh, sure.
Hooper, right?
I think it's Hooper.
Okay. Hooper is a movie director who did musicals. And so he kind of takes it at a straightforward, like, adaptation. I haven't seen Les Mis, but from what I've, like, heard about it and seen clips of, it's pretty... Oh, sorry. My cat, Mr. Meatballs, once did.
Yeah.
So he does these straightforward adaptations. And in Les Mis, he wanted you to know that the actors were singing, so he did these really tight close-up shots of their faces, and he recorded the sound live as they were shooting it, right?
Mm-hmm.
What that makes for is poor sound quality, because a movie set is not the same as a theater.
Yeah, or a sound room.
Or a sound room. The acoustics are different. And I think that he does a disservice to the talent of the actors by shooting it that way, because it's never going to sound right. And with Cats, what he decided to do to rectify this was kind of mix some pre-recorded stuff they did in a sound room with what they shot on set. And so it sounds really, really weird. It doesn't sound correct. I don't know. It's very like, I don't know if everybody got that, but it sounded really strange to me, because it's like sometimes you can almost get like hints of background noise where there shouldn't be any. And then there's also scenes where like the ensemble is singing and you can hear a clear, distinctive voice. Like, for example, in Mr. Mistopheles' number, once the whole ensemble joins in with him to kind of encourage him, there's like somebody singing who's like an octave higher than everybody else, but there's nobody's mouth is moving in time to that sound.
Nice.
It's strange. So yeah, I think a lot of talented people or smart people run into this problem where they're like, I am smart at this, I am good at this, therefore, how hard could anything else in the world be? And they should have got somebody, especially with something like Cats, which is just stupid to begin with. They should have had somebody who had a better understanding of how to do a movie musical than Tom Hooper.
Yeah, because I have his IMDb page up. Like, he did the King's Speech before he did Les Mis.
Yeah.
And he did like, yeah. So he like you said, he's more of a film TV director than like a theater director.
Also think that like along those same lines, this is just all hypothetical too. Like, this is just me putting stuff together.
Mm-hmm.
But I also think that like, if your expertise is in movies and not music, you might have a bias towards actors than you do towards singers. So you might think, well, I'll just get Judi Dench because how hard could it be to sing? She's a great actress and she's going to emote really well. And I think that I thought her casting didn't work. And I also thought Ian McKellen as Gus the Theater Cat, it just, like, whenever they sing, any momentum the movie has immediately ends because it's slow and bad and they're talk singing.
Yeah, I was about to say, it's like that it's cool to cast them as long as they're not doing a singing part. Like if they're
because they're both incredibly talented actors. They're just not necessarily singers. And on that same note, the standout performances, at least for me, was like Jennifer Hudson as Grisabella, who sings, Memories, the most famous song from Cats, and does it really well. Like, the first time I watched this, I watched with my husband and my brother, and we were all stoned, and we were talking over a lot of the movie, but everybody shut up when she sang Memories because she sings it really well, and it's a really emotional song, and it's hard to do, and she did it good.
Nice.
Yeah. And the other standout was Jason Derulo as Rum Tug Tugger, which, what? Jason Derulo? He doesn't even say his name in the movie. But he does a really good job, and he, he's got some good dance moves, he sings well, and when he's not singing and dancing, he still kind of stays in character in his face.
Nice.
So I think that part of the problem, I mean, these are small problems.
Yeah, but it all adds up.
Small tweaks. The main problem is that there's no fucking story, and anything you add to it just is stupid. And then the other problem is that the CG is so strange.
Yeah, this was something I wanted to bring up because it's like, when I remember hearing about this movie, I was like, okay, cats. And then when I started to learn about like what they were going to do, that it's like, wouldn't have had, like, they have just done it where it was all just CG, like 100%. And, you just kind of go for a more like a Lion King photorealistic look, but it's all CG people, or it's all CG creatures and animals and cats and all that kind of stuff like that. So there's no people. And when they were like, yeah, we're going to do people. And then I'm sure you've seen the behind the scenes where it's like, it's all the people in the mocap suits.
Yeah.
And then they CG the bodies on them. And then they have to CG the hair on them. And then they got to redo the hair again. And it was just like, what an expensive use of time and money.
I don't think they should have gone CG at all. I think because, like, first of all, the character design is so strange because they're human-shaped with fur and ears and whiskers, but they still have human characteristics in their face, and they have human hands.
Yeah.
So it's very strange to watch. And then second is that, like, half the purpose of Cats is that you're showing off the incredible choreography and dance skills of the actors. And when you CG it, it takes so much away from that because you're like, well, is she actually doing that spin or did they just animate it?
Yeah.
And it's like so what I did prior to this podcast is I looked up a couple different numbers, but one of the biggest contrasts for me was Mungo Jerry and Rumpelteazer, the movie version versus the stage version. And in the movie, what's that?
Oh, I said that's cool. I'm interested to hear what you're about to say here.
Okay, so in the movie version, Mungo Jerry and Rumpelteazer break into a house with Victoria, and they're stealing jewelry while they're singing about being Mungo Jerry and Rumpelteazer. That's all they do is they sing about being cats. and then they leave her so that she's going to get caught by the owner because it has to have stories, and Mr. Mistopheles comes in and saves her. In the play, or the musical, the stage production, you only get one set through the whole thing, and it's a junkyard. Mungo Jerry and Rumpelteazer are the only two cast members on stage for this number. In other numbers, it's like a group ensemble number, and everyone's dancing together. Sometimes you have cats kind of hanging around the garbage watching who's ever singing. But this one, they're the only two on stage. And the choreography is so cool and so complex and so interesting to watch. And they have to do it in like in sync, the right way. And they play off each other. There's a part where they do cartwheels across the stage where one of them is holding the other one's ankles.
Oh, really?
Does that make sense? And then they're cartwheeling across the stage like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, so like somebody's upside down and somebody's upright and they're each holding each other's ankles and they're cartwheeling across the stage. And it's so much more interesting and better to watch. And they're singing while they're doing it. It's crazy. And it's just like, wow, those people are so fucking talented. And yeah, I don't know, just like watching, two CG cats steal jewelry is not as interesting to me.
So they didn't do any of that kind of dance numbering while they were thieving?
They did a little bit, but nothing compared to like the stage show. And I know that the language of movies is different from the language of stage. And you can't just have a static camera watching people dance. It's not going to really work. Even in like the dance numbers that they do end up doing in the movie, like there's a part where they kind of do a dance off to see who can be the Jellicle Cat.
Nice.
But there's a lot of quick cuts. There's a lot of different angles, and it's all CG, and it just doesn't have the same majesty as the stage. And it just, I don't know. I really felt like, because like when you look at, sorry, I'm all over the place. When you look at the cast, it's like big name actors, and the rest of the cast are basically like theater and dance people.
Mm-hmm.
And it really takes away from the immense talent, I feel like, of the theater and dance people to have it in CG and do all these cuts. I briefly talked about the stage adaptation is just a junkyard. Like, it's just like a pile of garbage. One of the things about the movie that is really strange is that the scale is all wrong. And I think I figured out why. It's because people and cats are shaped differently.
Sure.
So they sometimes have this scale being like, if a person and a cat was standing next to each other, the person would be as tall as a cat on all fours. And they sometimes have it like the scale is like the person is the same height as a cat standing up. So it kind of changes from scene to scene, and it never, ever looks right or good.
Yeah, and I remember seeing, again, going back to some of the behind-the-scenes stuff, where it's like they built these big sets, but it's like, then if you're doing... Yeah, I mean, I'm sure there was... Like, you could just CG it, because you're CGing everything anyway. So it's like, you can make sure your scale could work then. So that it wouldn't be unsettling, like you're saying.
Yeah, it's so strange. They also added a song called Beautiful Ghosts, which Taylor Swift wrote.
Mm-hmm.
And Victoria, so in the movie, Victoria is kind of like the audience stand-in. She's the kitten who gets left in a bag in an alley at the beginning of the movie. And then the other cats, the alley cats, come out and they're like explaining what Jellicle cats are to her. So Grisabella is a cat that's shunned by all the other cats. She's the one that sings Memories. Memories is about feeling alone. It's about remembering when you were young and when people liked you. It's a really emotional, sad song when you look at the lyrics. Mm-hmm. And for whatever reason, they decided to throw Beautiful Ghosts in the movie right after we get like 4 lines of Memories. And then Victoria comes in and sings Beautiful Ghosts, and it kind of like undercuts Memories and takes some of the meaning away, because she's talking about like how Grisabella isn't trying hard enough to fit in a little bit, but also like she's like a beautiful, I don't even know what they're trying to do, but it fucks up memories and it makes me mad.
Yeah, fair enough.
And Cats is stupid. Like, the musical Cats is stupid. I saw it live. I've seen it like recorded a few times. I saw it live when I was like a kid, when I was like 7, and I walked out thinking that was stupid. And then I've rewatched it since, like on YouTube and stuff, and I'm like, wow, these are really talented people, but it's still a stupid musical. It's just dumb. There's nothing. There's nothing there.
Yeah, I was gonna say, like we talked about many times, it's like you can appreciate the artistry and the talent of the people involved, but you're like, this overall is bad.
Yeah, the music is really, really good. Like, I think Andrew Lloyd Webber writes good music. And Cats is kind of fun because it kind of has like a 70s rock vibe to it. When you watch like the songs in isolation or listen to those songs in isolation, they're really fun to listen to. But overall, Cats the musical is stupid. And The Beautiful Ghosts doesn't sound like it belongs in Cats. It's like so weird and off-putting. Like, it doesn't have the same vibe, because like when musicals, there's like terms that I don't know the right words for, but in musicals they repeat a lot of the same kind of little melody throughout different songs. Sometimes they'll put it in a major or minor key, sometimes it'll be played backwards or forwards, but it helps to tie the whole thing together, and this doesn't do that. Beautiful Ghost does not do that.
Yeah, and again, to me, as an outsider on this genre, that it was like you said, they brought in Taylor Swift. It seemed like almost like a marketing ploy, that it's like, hey, we're bringing in some modern talent. She's going to write this song, and it'll be in the movie for you to go check out.
Yeah, I think they were just trying to get the Swifties in, you know?
Yeah.
Taylor Swift has a lovely voice. I think she's a really good singer. She does sing McCavity in this song, which in the stage production is a duet. She sings it alone. That's not really a big deal. I think I prefer it as a duet because in the duet, it's like kind of two women cats, female cats, trying to show off their knowledge of McCavity to the other one, like almost like two lovers fighting over the same man kind of thing.
Right.
It has that vibe a little bit. And when you turn it into a solo, it's just slightly less interesting, but she still does a really good job. I will say, though, that she kind of puts on a British accent sometimes, and it's bad and distracting. Specifically when she says, McCavity's not there, she says, McCavity's not there. And it's just weird. It's a weird choice. Another thing about this movie that is weird is that there's no rules regarding clothing for the cats.
Yeah.
Some of them wear clothes and some of them don't, and it just makes the ones that don't look really naked. And also, like, sometimes they'll, like, I think there's part where Rebel Wilson, which is easily the worst part of the movie, and she should not have been in it, but she, like, takes off her fur to reveal, like, herself, who's still furry, but with now, like, a little purple tap suit on. And it's very disturbing, like, to see someone take their skin off and have more skin underneath, but with an outfit.
Yeah.
And then also, this really is probably just a me problem. But in the movie, Mr. Mistopheles is like an insecure incel who's trying to get with Victoria. And when it comes to his song, he sings it himself. And he's really, really insecure. Like, he's trying to convince himself that he's Mr. Mistopheles. and it sucks. It sucks so hard because, and it's probably because I've seen the stage and I've listened to the production and I've listened to this song. Like, it was one of my favorite songs as a kid. I was honestly really looking forward to it in the movie.
Mm.
In the stage production, it's sung by Rum Tug Tugger, who's singing it about Mr. Mistopheles, and he's singing about how great he is, and everybody knows it. And fucking Mistopheles drops in from the ceiling in a light-up, sparkly tuxedo, and he's doing fucking lasers and like lightning and smoke, and it's so cool. And in this one, he's like, no, Mr. Mistopheles.
Wow, that sounds like such a weird change. Like, why do that?
I know, it makes me so mad.
But so it's like the same song lyrically, but just like changed up, obviously context and character and like music, or is it the same music even?
It's the same music, but the tempo's dropped, and they okay, it's such a banger in this in the musical.
Right.
It's so fun, and it's loud, and it's like, yeah, Mr. Mistopheles. And I think it comes kind of like after like one of the quieter songs, so it's like it brings the energy back up and everybody's on board, and it's like everybody's favorite song in this. It's everybody's favorite, right? Or in their top 3 at least. And in this one, he sings a verse, and then he stops to try to do a magic trick, and then he fails, and then he brings up the like chorus as a way to like pump himself up to sing the next verse, and then he stops and tries to do the magic trick again, and it fails, and it just keeps doing that. And it's just, after this, I'm gonna send you YouTube clips of like the movie version versus the stage version, just so you can see how much they fucked up his stupid song.
Yeah, that sounds like such an odd choice.
The only song that I thought that they did better in the movie versus the stage production was Shimbleshanks the Railway Cat, because they gave him a very cool tap solo in the middle of it that sounds, because he's singing about being a cat on a railway train. Mm-hmm. And they give him a tap solo that almost sounds like a train on the tracks. Like, that's kind of the rhythm that it has.
Yeah.
I mean, there could be stage productions where they do that too, but at least in my memory and the clips that I've seen online, there is no tap number. So I thought that was really cool and a cool updated way to do things. But he is wearing pants, and no one else is wearing pants in that scene. So. I should say that in the stage production, sometimes they do wear pieces of clothing like a coat or a vest, but or a belt, but it's not really the same as the movie. It just makes it weird.
Sure.
That's everything that's wrong with it, according to me. There's probably more, but those are the main things.
Right. Well, and it is my understanding, right? Like that they're all trying to become a Jellicle cat so one of them can die.
Depends on the ending. There's a few endings out there for cats. Sometimes they die. In the movie, she gets taken away on a hot air balloon. I think the stage production I saw, a spaceship takes her away.
Nice.
Yeah, or not a spaceship, but the idea of a spaceship, like, kind of like lights and a tractor beam comes down. I don't really remember totally, but yeah. So different productions have different endings.
Fair enough.
But I think ultimately it means that they're going to die.
Yeah, it all sounds still like a metaphor for death.
Yeah. But, it's very millennial.
Yeah.
We're all conceding to die.
Yeah.
Right. Here's how I would fix it. First of all, if you're going to do a live action production, we don't need them to look like cats.
Yeah.
We can have a whisper of a cat, like with the stage production where they wear kind of skin tight bodysuits that are painted like fur and have some fur bits and cool makeup. I saw on YouTube, I wish I remembered who it was, but somebody was saying, why not just give them cat masks Like they could kind of wear clothing and then just kind of have like a half cat mask so you can still see their mouth and stuff. I'm like, yeah, that's an interesting idea.
Yeah, kind of almost like a masquerade ball kind of situation.
Yeah, totally, right? You could do something like that, but don't CG it, because the appeal of Cats is the singing and dancing, and you take away half of the appeal by making it CG. If you're doing a live performance, yeah, just put people in costumes. The second thing is you should prioritize people with singing and dancing experience over big name actors. If you want to hire big name people for the draw, then you should just cast fucking K-pop bands. They can sing, they can dance, they can act. Voila. You're welcome.
Well, or like I was alluding to as well, that it's like if you're gonna have, Judi Dench, Ian McKellen be in there, they're there to act, to impart wisdom and stuff like that, but they're not gonna do a song and dance number.
This is the thing that I should have explained better. There's no roles that don't sing and dance.
Well, so that's one of my changes. You make a couple not sing and dance.
Oh, yeah, okay, that's fine then. So like hire people who can sing and dance over hiring big named actors. You could hire pop stars. There's lots of options.
Yeah.
My third change would be to like lean into the weird. Like, it's weird. It's a weird play. It's a weird concept. There's no story. Give it a dreamlike quality. Make it kind of surreal. That's what I would say, right? Like, make it like you're on a fucking acid trip for 90 minutes, right?
I'd like to point out that's your suggestion for most of the movies we do on the show.
It's fair. Like, this
You're
is
like,
surreal.
Yeah, make it weirder.
But I do think it would work better for this movie.
Sure, absolutely. Especially, I can imagine definitely in scenarios where, yeah, if someone's busting into a song, then it's like, yeah, you make it like that heightened reality. You up all the colors, make some stuff in the background weird, and then people are like, whoa, this is weird, right?
Totally. Make it a movie to watch on drugs. And I know that like people watch 2019 Cats on drugs, but do it on purpose. Just do it on purpose.
Yeah.
Like I'm thinking specifically of do you remember the movie Across the Universe?
No, not off the top of my head, sorry.
It was like I can't remember what year. I was still worked at the theater, so it came out between 2004 and 2008, and it was a musical based on songs by the Beatles.
Okay.
But it wasn't based on like a musical. It was just like they used Beatles songs to make a musical.
Yeah.
And they lean into the weird, and that's what this should have done. Yeah, so that's what I would say for live action.
Mm-hmm.
And like forget putting them in the real world. Make them in a junkyard. That's fine. It worked in the stage production, but like just make it weird. Make them human. I kind of like your idea of it being like a masquerade ball. That would be really cool. Like you could almost use characters, like how like in oldie-timey masquerades, like you would get, I'm basing this off the animated Cinderella, but you would get like announced at the top of the stairs.
Yeah.
Like do that, have that be their introduction to sing their song.
Yeah.
Done. Easy. Bam. Make it weird.
Yeah. No, and then that'd be kind of cool, because then you could set it all in like, a big manor with some different rooms and stuff like that. And then like, you could do your different songs in different rooms and have your different characters. Yeah,
that would make it super interesting. Or like, oh, you know what else would be cool is, how like Hail Caesar, he walks through kind of all the different sets throughout the movie?
Yeah.
Do that. Have it set on a Hollywood, what's it called?
Production lot.
Yeah. They could be cats or whatever, and then they like, I don't know, just an idea. Anything is better than what they did. The other option that I would say is to just go fully animated.
Mm-hmm.
I know this again, this is my solution for a lot of things, but give each cat a different animation style.
Oh yeah.
Hire different people to do different numbers, make it weird, make it cool, make it distinct, right? One of the problems with 2019 cats is that all the cats look the same. You can't fucking tell them apart. In the stage production, because you're potentially sitting in the back row watching this, they have very distinct character. Like for the ones that get like name title songs, they have distinct looks so that you know who is the person being sung about.
Again, because I haven't seen it, but like just because they did it in CG and the way it was filmed, like it looks drab to me. I think from colors of pictures I've seen.
It should be like crazy colors and really cool. I mean, like I guess the stage production, there's a lot of like orange, gray, black, white kind of deal, but it still looks better. It looks better. It just looks better.
Or yeah, just like you say, there's distinctive colors and looks so you can tell what's going on with the characters.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was like I said earlier, that it's just like the idea of doing it pure CG. It's like, could that work if they did it like Lion King style photorealistic? Or I hadn't thought about the idea, kind of like you're saying, like a Love, Death, and Robots, where it's just like every song has its own animation style, and then there's like, there's a unifying one through the middle of it, but then it's just like when someone busts into a song, then it gets intense.
I feel like doing it photorealistic would take away a bit from it, because I do think it needs to have like a dreamlike quality.
Yeah.
Because it's just a strange concept, and to like approach it grounded in reality would take away from the experience.
Yeah, the only reason I was suggesting that is because I was thinking, like, when I first suggested animated, that it's like if you tried to go like an equivalent, like a modern Pixar movie, then I think you would not attract people, because they'd be like, well, I don't know, I don't think it would work. Like it would be seen too much as a child's musical, I guess.
They should just get some anime folk in there and just be like, do whatever you want.
They had the budget and they were like, we're gonna just go crazy with it.
They should have got the Beastars folks to do it. Have you seen Beastars?
I have not.
Season 1 is pretty good. Season 2 is so stupid.
Bummer.
But the animation is really good. And the character designs are cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. This like.
Well, I'm sorry, and to go back as well, because I know everybody's done this in every episode of Cats, but like, what would you write as a potential story, or just lean into the no story and just have it be a fun musical? Like, what do you think? Would that work for a movie?
I think it's hard to form a story around it. I think that it's almost like, I think it would have been okay. I'm starting to say, that episode of BoJack where they hire Todd to like direct a movie, and then it ends up being the curated snack subscription box. This is what's happening to me right now.
Yeah.
I think it should have been a smaller release that was maybe released straight to streaming, that was just really done well artistically, instead of a big movie.
Right. Well, or I was thinking that it's like, if you're going to do a Cats movie, you could almost you sort of mix some elements of like, again, I haven't seen it, but like, yeah, you like where there's potentially, say, 2 rival cat gangs in the area, and then Victoria's dropped in, and then so she's trying to figure out which gang's a good gang or bad gang, or who should she join or what, and then you have some kind of resolution instead of just a death metaphor. But you could also do the death metaphor.
So there's a bit of that going on. Like, McCavity is the bad cat. He's played by Idris Elba in the movie. He's got a much smaller role in the stage production. Oh my God, Dan, in the movie, Idris Elba as McCavity has the power to like disappear people. Nice. Sometimes when he disappears, he says something that's kind of relevant to what just happened. So at one point, he just says ineffable as he like disappears into smoke. But other times he doesn't have anything specific to say, so he'll either be like "meow" as he disappears into smoke, and there's a couple points where he just says "McCavity." It's not his strongest role.
Nice.
So yeah, in the movie, what they decided to do was they made McCavity the bad guy, and he's kidnapping cats because he wants to be the Jellicle cat. So he's trying to tip the scales in his favor by kidnapping cats and putting them on a boat.
Sure.
And also there's also like the half storyline of Grisabella. In the stage production, it's implied that she was like a sex worker at one point, and that's why the cats shun her. But in the movie, it's implied that she worked with McCavity, and that's why the cats shun her.
Right.
And so there is a little bit of that, like, the cats are like, no, we're the good cats, because, you know, we're not McCavity.
Sure.
Although Mungo, Jerry, and Rumpelteazer do work for McCavity. That is said in a line somewhere.
Well, and I was going to say earlier, alluded that they were trying to frame her for their theft, so, you know.
Yeah.
They didn't sound like good cats either.
Victoria's role is also, like, beefed up in the movie. She's got a much smaller role in the stage production.
Fair enough.
Oh, I thought that the actress that plays Victoria is Francesca Hayward, and she is a Broadway actress, like a really, really good dancer and a good singer, but a really, really strong dancer. And I just was like, oh man, why do they have to CG her? She's such a good dancer. It's just, I don't know, it's not as impressive to me. Like, I love Marvel movies, but, like, the Hulk punching somebody is not as impressive as Michelle Yeoh punching somebody to me. It's just the truth. I don't know. I think they need to lean into the fact that there's no story. You could almost do it, like, if it was a streamed movie, I think they could get away with doing something like, you've seen Moulin Rouge, right?
Actually, no, I haven't.
Okay.
I mean, I worked at the theater at the time. I've seen enough of it. I get it.
Well, it opens with a red curtain opening, kind of.
Right.
And I think they could have almost done that with Cats, is that, like, it looks like you're in a theater and the red curtain opens, and then you could almost, like, go into the set, and then you're kind of like, it's like, then you're in it, you know?
Yeah.
The Phantom of the Opera does that really well in the movie part. I feel like it's got a few moments like that where sometimes you feel like you're the audience watching a stage, and sometimes you feel like you're watching a movie.
Oh, interesting.
That movie doesn't do a lot of things well, but that's one of the things they do.
Fair enough.
The costumes are really great. I think the main issue with the movie adaptation of Phantom of the Opera is that they tried to make the Phantom too sympathetic, and they hired Gerard Butler, who cannot sing, for a very demanding vocal role. Yeah. Because I think it goes back to what I said earlier. Movie people think that movie stars are going to be more suited to sing than singers are going to be to act. Because that's just how brains work.
Yeah.
Is it confirmation bias? Is that what that is?
Well, there's that, or it's like the, what was the term I was about to think? It's like, you know, lawyer brain or doctor brain or
Crypto brain.
Yeah, you're just like, I'm an expert in this. Clearly, I'm an expert in everything.
Yeah, like when lawyers Or like, I'm so smart. I went to school for 500 years. And then you're like, can you put together this banker box, which has instructions printed on it? And they're like, ah! And then they run away and then the office is on fire.
Yeah.
Lawyer slam. Boo, boo, boo.
Yeah. Yeah, it's just so weird because it's like if I didn't look into this background about it, like with the studio with cats and that kind of stuff, but it's like they obviously chose Hooper because Les Mis was popular, or is it also like he wanted to do cats? Like I don't know if that it's like a chicken and the egg thing because, like you said, if like they could have gone to a director who had some previous stage experience and maybe he could have done a more serviceable job rather than this like guy who made the King's Speech doing musical cats.
Yeah, I think it's because Les Mis either got nominated or won some Oscars.
I think it did, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's what it was. I don't know, it's hard to do musicals as movies well without them seeming like a kid's thing.
Yeah, and just thinking about it, because I know the musical, it's always around, but like in the last decade, let's say, but you like how many can you think of that like come to mind that were like, you know, there's like The Greatest Showman and Chicago and like Moulin Rouge and like that's it.
Well, there's Across the Universe.
No, well, yeah, but I just meant like that are like so good that like everyone knows what they are.
Oh, I see what you mean. Yeah, no, almost none.
From more recent times, obviously in the past when they made tons of them, you know, you got The Sounds of Music and all that good stuff, right? But yeah,
the Chicago adaptation was really, really strong, I thought.
Yeah, that's why I named it. I heard it was really, really good.
You haven't seen it?
Again, I worked from booth. I saw parts of it. I got it.
So, like, in the stage production, there's almost no set, which is really interesting.
Oh, really?
Like, they'll bring on chairs if they need chairs. There was one point where they brought on, like, at least in the production I saw, there was one point where they brought on some stairs because they had to dance up and down stairs. And for the cell block tango, obviously they have, like, the idea of cells. In the movie version, they just make it set like in reality. But then when musical numbers come on, you get like a heightened kind of reality. The best example I can think of is when the lawyer is singing right before they're about to go to trial. He's singing about how a trial is just like a circus. And so the courtroom is transformed into like a circus show basically, and sometimes it looks like you're at a circus, and sometimes like when they have talking parts in between the musical stuff, you know, it'll just be like a showgirl or like a, you know, like a bedazzled lady like sitting with the jurors kind of like whispering in their ear or whatever, right? So it kind of, it does a really good job of it.
Nice.
But then it also knows when to scale stuff back, because when you get that Catherine Zeta-Jones number, is that her name? Yeah, Catherine Zeta-Jones.
Yeah.
She does a number that's like, the song is like, I Can't Do It Alone. It's a very, very, very complicated dance number. So they take away the set basically, and they just let her dance. And you get long shots of her doing complicated choreography. And at least in my opinion, it's way more impressive than quick cuts.
Oh, sure.
Yeah. They understood what was hard and what was easy.
Yeah.
they knew how to do it.
Well, I mean,
Cats 2019 is not good, and it's not bad enough to be fun.
Right. Yeah, exactly. It's just bad.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. That's all I got to say. I needed to rant about it to somebody.
Sure. I mean, I think it's hilarious. Like I said, my experience with it is just listening to other people talk about it. And I'm like, wow, this sounds like such a terrible movie.
It is a terrible movie. It's the worst thing. Like, of all the musicals ever, it's like one of the worst ones to adapt. I don't know what they were thinking. Like,
yeah.
Joseph and the Technicolor Dreamcoat has great songs. It's kind of like a weird biblical story with weird morals in it, but at least it has a fucking story.
Yeah. Well, and like I was saying as well, like I found so much about the release of this movie back in 2019 fascinating as well, because they pushed it out because they had to make their deadline, and the CG wasn't all done, and then there was a patched version that came out like 2 weeks later, and it was still really bad, and no one was seeing it anyway, so they spent more money unnecessarily on it. And it was just like, because I think it's reportedly about 95 million, but it's like, I'm sure they spent more because there was huge marketing for it as well, because it's like Cats and Taylor Swift and it's going to be amazing. And then people were like, this movie is terrible.
It's so funny too, because Taylor Swift, like when you Google Cats 2019, like her picture comes up pretty quick.
Yeah.
She's in one song for like 2.5 minutes. That's it.
Well, I think, yeah, I mean, I don't know the time, but yeah, I'm sure she was like on tour or in between albums at the time or something.
Yeah.
Because I think they brought her in and she only had like 2 days to write the song and record it before they were like putting it in the movie or something.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it was very, very short timing.
She also was like one of the only cats to wear shoes. Like she wears shoes, which I don't know why. And then Shimbleshanks, the railway cat, wears boots so that he can do his little tap number.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Which makes sense, yeah.
Maybe she was just uncomfortable in the mocap suit and was like, I'm just going to wear some shoes. And they're like, oh, okay.
She wears these like heeled Mary Janes. That have like zebra stripes on them. It's weird. It's weird. Everything about this, every choice in this movie is a strange choice that I don't really understand why they made that choice.
Yeah, exactly. You're like, I need to talk to the person who was standing at every decision and know why they did what they did.
Yeah, it's just, they did. Why did they fuck over Mr. Mistopheles?
Yeah, that sounds really egregious.
I'm gonna send you clips of both when we're done. Or you know what? After we're done recording, I'm gonna share screen it to you so that we can watch it together. We don't have to watch the whole song, but you at least need to see Mr. Mistopheles drop down from the ceiling in a fucking, his coat has light bulbs in it and it's sparkly and he does Sith lightning. It's very cool.
I mean, that sounds awesome.
Yeah. I think we should wrap it up unless you have any questions for me.
No, I think I've interrupted enough over the entirety of the recording.
No, it's good. It's good.
So, you don't recommend?
I mean, there are people who enjoy this movie in the world. You might be one of them. I guess you could watch it if you want to. I don't think that it is a good adaptation of the Broadway Cats.
Yeah.
But I also don't think that the Broadway Cats is good. The music's good. What you should do is go on Spotify and listen to the soundtrack.
There you go.
That's what you're going to get the best of. Or watch clips, just like individual song clips from the Broadway show on YouTube. That's what you should do. One of those things. Don't watch the movie. It's a waste of your time. It's a waste of your life. You know, We have a finite number of days on this planet. Don't spend any of them watching this movie. Yeah.
Watch something more entertaining.
Go watch Everything Everywhere All at Once instead, which is not a musical, but it's way better. Yeah. Or Moulin Rouge. That's a fun musical.
Sure. It was clearly quite popular.
You know, it's funny. You haven't seen it yet, have you? No, you haven't. Moulin Rouge?
No, yeah. I haven't seen it. You asked me earlier.
It opens with him being like, this is a story, like, I'm not spoiling anything because this is in the first, like, fucking minute of the thing. It's like, this is a story about my love dying. And then when I watched it in theaters, I came in, like, 5 minutes late, so I didn't hear that. Big shock at the end of the movie.
Nice.
Yeah. Now that I've ranted about cats, please keep listening to us.
Yeah, share the episode, like and subscribe, review. We're on, iTunes, Spotify, all the good places to get podcasts. And email us, tomeofuselessness@gmail.com for questions or suggestions or ideas or more comments about cats, we'll read them out. and
I would love to read out comments about cats. I would love to know what people think of the mistreatment of Mr. Mistopheles. Hashtag justice for Mr. Mistopheles.
Yeah, there you go. And of course, we have our website, Tome of Uselessness. Stay safe and thanks for listening.
Bye-bye.